decision that we thought was in the best interest of the student athletes here at the University of Arkansas and within the Southeastern Conference. And I believe that we have done that, and we have maintained our priority on the health and safety and well-being of our student athletes, our coaches and staff being at the forefront of this consideration. So I just had a chance to meet with our football team and our staff. They're excited now that we have a plan. They're excited about the opportunity to play 10 games against Southeastern Conference opponents, and they're just excited to play football. And that's the reason that we continue to push forward. And I appreciate Coach Pittman's patience throughout this process. I know him more than anybody's been itching to get out on that field as a first-year head coach and have an opportunity to work with his young men and compete on that field. So hopefully today provides some clarity for all of us on at least what football in the Southeastern Conference looks like for the fall of 2020. And with that, I'll open it up for some questions, Kyle.
All right. Tom, you want to lead us off? 2 questions and we'll move on.
That would be great. Hey, Hun, thanks for doing this again.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I know it's not uppermost for you, but the financial repercussions of going to 10, what does that mean for you guys? And what do you do with the contracts of Nevada and ULM games and Notre Dame?
Sure. Well, I've talked to 3 of the 4 ADs of our non-conference opponents, and we will work to figure out a solution for each of those, whether that's rescheduling the game in the future, what that might look like for us. The decision to go to an all Southeastern Conference schedule was not a financial decision. It was not a decision to save us from paying those guarantees. It was, again, a decision we felt that it gave us the best opportunity to have a football season that was uninterrupted. Jack Swarbrook and I have missed each other multiple times throughout the day. I've been busy, he's busy. And so, it would be my hope, because I understand that Razorback fans were looking so much forward to going to South Bend, Indiana, to a very historic stadium and playing Notre Dame there, that we can look at our future football schedules and reschedule our game at Notre Dame. Obviously, they're still scheduled to be here in 2025, but I know our fans are very much looking forward to that trip to South Bend. And so I'll work with Jack to see if we can reschedule that visit to South Bend by the Razorbacks in the future.
Okay. 2 other games that are of utmost importance, the A&M game in Arlington and the game against Missouri that was scheduled for Arrowhead Stadium. Are those still on for those venues, or what are discussions further to be held on those?
Well, our schedule will change as far as the dates. The schedule of who we play those 8 SEC games will remain the same. The dates for many of those games we anticipate to change. Whether that impacts the game in Kansas City with Missouri, I haven't heard yet from Jim Sturk officially, but I know it's Texas A&M's desire now, with only having 5 home games with a 10-game schedule, to move the game from AT&T Stadium to Kyle Field this year. And we'll continue, Ross and I, to work.
Well, hello. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Friday edition of OTH. As we let you hear audio, the verdict has come down. Arkansas and the SEC powers that be, all athletic directors and chancellors of the university, have decided September 26th will be the initial opening kickoff for the SEC football season. 10 conference games, Demetrius. 10 conference games. How do you feel about that? And today's question, you can call in. It's your show today. Call and chime in with us. Is the 10-game schedule what you had hope? Did you want the +1? Why were you feeling the way you were feeling? Is this a good decision going forward to continue on with this football season in the fall sports? Demetrius, I'm going to go over here to you. What you think, man?
I just hope our listeners, our true fans and true followers, remember when we were talking about an inter-game conference when this pandemic first hit. We even asked Hunter Yurachek about, we have to go back and go play that Hunter Yurachek one-on-one we had when he came on the Hill Sports Talk, and we asked him about an inter-game conference, and that was something that at that particular time they weren't thinking about. And it's just crazy how we were so ahead of the time thinking about how this thing will play out. I just think it's great, just the insight we gave on actually playing a interconference SEC schedule and it really coming, to happen this year.
I'm excited. I'm extremely excited. I feel like now it's about coaching. the healthiest team. I mean, the strength and conditioning coaches, I said it yesterday, are going to earn their paychecks. And just how these coaching staffs prepare these young men as far as the teaching. We'll find out who's taking the Zoom prepping very seriously, and then we'll find out more and more as the weeks come. I really like it because it gives the students a chance to get on the campuses as well, and we can acclimate students as well as athletes. Let's get the entire campus to where they understand the pandemic and we have some control, and we can better understand how to attack come September 26th. Also, too, let's gain all the information. If you're the SEC commissioners and ADs across this great conference, you look at what's going on with baseball, men's and women's, NBA basketball, and the WNBA, and then you look at this upcoming football season, and you take all that information. And I just feel like we had several guys on yesterday, Kevin McGuffey of Big Blue Nation, Jordan Campbell, Fox Sports Shows, FM 97.9, and Demetrius Stephen M. Smith, and all those guys reported that testing on those universities in the SEC, Kentucky, Auburn, and Alabama, all those very, very good rate of non-positives, which is a good thing going forward, and I think something that they took into consideration.
Definitely, I think the big thing is when all the kids come back from different, states. Not only states, just different countries in general, when school picks back up in the fall. So I think that's the real true test, is to see, what happens and what the interaction is like from new people involved. Because right now, the football team's only dealing with people involved in the football facility. But what's going to happen when you start opening back up and things go back to kind of public life? And, I know they can do the person tracker or people tracker, but I think it's going to be an influx of data when you start, walking by people in the hallways, because, even though they're going to limit how many people are on campus, there's still going to be quite a bit of bodies on the campus.
Absolutely. I mean, all this is still new information that is to be gathered. I mean, but I do think it was a great decision and the right decision to push the season back, and even more so to continue on with the SEC football. I mean, 10 games. 10 games, people. You don't get your normal 12 games. You don't get your pretty much 3 cupcakes that you get every year in non-conference, but you get 10 football games of SEC football. I can't think of a better trade-off. Unfortunately, no Notre Dame, but if you're going to supplement, Arkansas was going to have 9 tough ones from the get-go, 8 conference, and then you throw in that Notre Dame game, there were going to be 3 cupcakes. If you take away Notre Dame and then give me 2 more conference games and give me 10, Demetrius, the trade-off. The question would be, and you can chime in, and please do. You can reach us on our Facebook Live or our YouTube live stream with what 2 teams do you want added that you would like to see added in the 2020 football season. I know there are going to be 5 road, 5 home games. It has been announced, and I think they're still in talks, but it's coming up on finalization. Arkansas will be traveling to College Station. I call it CSTAT for this upcoming football game, and then next year in 2021, the Eddie Maggies will return to Fayetteville the following year. What you think about that?
I like it. I like it. I think it's this is actually gonna be closer to the Southwestern Conference days. Where guys really could really see the energy of the fan bases. I think that College Station game didn't have the juice it had when Johnny Football and those earlier days in that Petrino era. So I think it kind of died off, but I think this can be something that can also help re-spark that rivalry between Arkansas. We're going home in a way now, and then eventually going back to Jerry to fulfill that contract. But I think this now kind of rejuvenates it and gives it a little different vibe and a different feel to actually go back to the home in a way.
I just also too like it that sports are coming back into our daily lives. I mean, you can only watch so many classics. You want real time sports, and even though last night I sat and I watched some WNBA, some NBA, some MLB baseball, not a fan in the stands, but just the appreciation for having real time sports. And these professionals, they show the passion. It's not that they're out there just to be out there. You can tell that a lot of these men and women are very hungry athletes, and we're just chomping at the bit to get back to play the sport that they love. And that's the appreciation I like. And I think that's going to be a big-time thing. Maybe not the tailgating crowds, but I think just SEC football, we'll get a chance to see who the best teams and coaches, strength and conditioning programs are this season, Demetrius. I firmly believe that this is what this is going to come down to. You're going to have to be deep, and you're going to have to be healthy. And I think all that you've been working on, and I'll say it again, the strength and conditioning coaches in all of college football will earn their paychecks this year, Demetrius. They will definitely earn their money this year, and it's going to come out who's been doing their due diligence and doing things the right way.
Yeah, not only that, I think these middle of the crop teams are going to actually either stay in that middle of the crop or rise to the top as far as contenders in the SEC, because I think now you're really going to see who's the true king of the SEC from the East and the West. You know, so many years you've heard LSU, and you know sometimes they play Florida, and Florida doesn't play all the hard teams in the West. And then you know, now I think you can kind of finally put that debate to the rest. And not only that, I think whoever comes out kind of in that top three, you know, respected positions in the SEC is going to turn out in recruiting. You're going to see how that reflects on recruiting and where these top recruits, you know, kind of decide to go to.
Now, we are still all speculation on the scheduling, but I really feel like that's going to be some of the things. But who are the two teams that you would like to see come onto the schedule as added that 9th and 10th game? And I want you guys to please chime in. You can call us also at 479-601-7400 and tell us what you think, because today is your show. It's the A, but it's the A for the fans. Today is all you. Chime in, tell us what you think. The decision has finally come down. No more speculation. We know September 26th will be kickoff. All football programs, and I think Arkansas will be on campus and reporting for fall camp next week. Demetrius, I think August the 7th. We'll see the Razorbacks take the football field, maybe in helmets, and it's going to be an entirely different type of fall camp that we've ever witnessed. Demetrius, is the thing that I'm also too looking forward to checking out. But you know, this is the time. Will it be Sam Pittman? Will it be Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkwitz, Mike Leach? Out of the 4 new coaches, I mean, who's going to have that opening day splash, I should say? Which of the 4 coaches out of those 4 do you think has the highest chance to win their opener? But I guess, you know, all that's to be, we'll be able to have more to vote about. But I mean, in your opinion, which one would you think?
You know what?
I
mean, I could easily say
not Homer
Sam,
related,
but I have to see what the matchups are. You know, right now Arkansas, you know, I don't know who they're going to play as of right now. Did they announce who they're going to play yet for their first game?
Because if they keep the schedule the way it is, Arkansas, I think, would play either Mississippi State or A&M in game 1, and it's going to be on the road. Either way it goes, I think they'll be on the road.
See, I think it all depends on the game, because if you go in game 1 asking Sam Pittman to go in there and beat an A&M team in a hostile environment,
but you know Jimbo is Jimbo.
I agree, but I think just with what they have coming back in the continuity between the team and the understanding of what their team has, I think is greater on A&M side. So if you're asking me who's going to have a better splash, and you have Pittman going up against A&M, I don't think Sam will have a great success just his first game as the head coach.
And real quick, we want to make it real special and let everybody know this show would not be possible without our sponsors. That being said, Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. That's Locomotion. They're located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Paint, and the one we always talk about, you got to get down there. KDK's Chicken. They're down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy. Get a plate of that love. They say it on the building, just not your mama's. But we like to say they have the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 South Razorback Road. But we're going to step away, get a real quick break. You got questions, chime in. We got about 15, 20 more minutes. It's going to be a shortened show today. We got to get out and start taking care of some things so we can come back here full tilt on Monday and bring it all, and bring it all, and bring it all. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ, and it's the Friday edition. Back in a moment.
60-hour weeks that sometimes these coaches and student athletes put in during these couple of weeks of fall camp, it'll be more like a regular week of practice for them.
And then with the fans in the stands, is that something that is it kind of like a school by school basis? Are you working with the SEC with that, or is it kind of like, depending on which state each school is in?
I think you'll see a hybrid in where we work together as Southeastern Conference institutions to have some commonalities around our event operations in those plants. And then, of course, we all reside in different states, and so we have to follow those guidelines that are established individually by each state's health departments. But so I think you'll see a hybrid where there's some parameters that are put in place that we all collectively buy into as Southeastern Conference members, and then there'll be some that'll vary from state to state.
Appreciate it, Hunter.
Nate? Nate, you're muted. Still muted.
That work.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Hunter, as far as the Miami Marlins situation, did that affect any decision with this at all? And does it kind of give you some warning signs on what to do or not to do?
It did not impact this decision at all. I think it's another educational opportunity with our student athletes and our staff as far as, how things can be, one bad decision can impact many. And so I think it's an educational opportunity for all of us more than anything.
Also, have any athletes in any of the sports opted out since you have the option of obtaining a scholarship and not participating?
To date, they have not, Nate.
Thank you.
Trey Biddy?
Hey, Hunter. Thanks for doing this. So, do you like the delayed start? Was it brought up at all to possibly maybe start on time and then maybe have common bye weeks with all the SEC schools if possible so you could reschedule games?
I think we felt like, based on, the counsel we received from the medical task force, that this was still going to be, COVID was still going to be a major issue in the Southeast for the next few weeks. And this gave us the best opportunity just to push the start back. It also gives us an opportunity for school to start on each of our campuses and for our campus to return to a sense of normalcy, as opposed to, campus coming back and then 2 weeks later we're trying to play our first football game. So I think as we talked to the presidents and chancellors, it was their desire to try to get campus up and running before we tried to play football games as well.
And do you think with the way the schedule works out, do you think that they will push the divisional games to the front of the schedule, kind of like the Big Ten has done, and the cross-divisional to the back? And also, how do you think that'll work out? Will it be the next games in the SEC rotation, or?
What Mark Womack, who is the football administrator for the Southeastern Conference, what he's assured us is he will give us the best scheduling option for the Southeastern Conference. And so what that looks like, here's the thing, Trey, we're trying to get 14 athletic directors and 14 coaches to agree on what those additional 2 games are going to be. It's never going to happen. And so I trust that Mark Womack will do a great job in putting our schedule together.
Welcome back. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. It's our Friday edition. It's the A edition of On the Hill, and we're going to get back into that, Demetrius. We got to start bringing the A back as we're about to get into some fall Arkansas athletics. Hunter Yurchek, also too, Demetrius, as I had a chance to view the Zoom conference, heard the audio, had said if they were to play, there was a question, I believe, if they were to play a game this Saturday, that they would be able to fill the stadium with 25%. And let's see who we got. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, who we got?
This is Nick.
Nick, holler at me, man. What you got for me?
Well, I'm looking at.
Hold on. All listeners, Nick is a great viewer. He always shoots great questions through our Facebook and YouTube Live. But we got to make this. This is his first actual call. Talk to me, baby.
Look, I love y'all's show. This show needs to be longer. I'm just saying. I'm just looking at the schedule here. It looks like we're picking up Georgia and South Carolina. I don't know dates on that, but it looks like we're picking up Georgia, which is very interesting, seeing that Sam's from, just came from Georgia and stuff. So I'm kind of wondering how that's going to impact his recruiting in the future. From guys that he was already recruiting to Georgia and stuff like that. But the schedule looks so brutal, man. If we can be competitive competitive, Mississippi State is we can win that game.
Right.
But then we go to Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, and then like if we can finish really strong at the end of the season here, I don't know when the South Carolina game would be played or Georgia, but Ole Miss and Missouri is going to be our finishers. So like if we can stay competitive all year, that will be a great thing because this schedule is so brutal, especially like the start of the season. Like the beginning of our season for an all conference is just so brutal without any like games to like really get up on, and like fall scrimmages being so limited and stuff. So it's really going to be hard for Arkansas this year to.
And you think about it, you know, in the SEC, there's no easy games. I mean, we get kind of spoiled, and like I said, I'm so excited because I get 10 solid collegiate football games that I feel are going to be competitive. Arkansas is going to have a tough schedule, but the one thing I want people to realize and understand is being around that program and those players, there is talent on that football team, but when you have as a player a disconnect from player to coach, and then it spreads throughout your staff, you're only going to give 15%. You know, as I've met out and about town, some of the players since Coach Pittman has been named the head hall, there's not a player that wouldn't do anything for him. I mean, I've had one player quote, "We'll run through any wall Coach Pittman asks us to run through because we just believe in he and his staff that much." As far as the Georgia situation, I'm kind of excited because when Sam Pittman came to Fayetteville, he understands there's a lot of talent in Georgia, and by knowing that and understanding that, he went out and hired Jimmy Smith, a well-known high school football coach and athletic director from the Atlanta area. As you can kind of tell, Scott Fountain being from Georgia, and also too, Derek LeBlanc. He's hitting that state pretty hard as he was one of the lead and chief recruiters for the state of Kentucky. For the University of Kentucky. So, with that being said, it's going to be a tough schedule, but with the guys that they have, I don't know of anyone in the country that wouldn't want Barry Odom to be the DC, coming off being a head coach. Had been the DC when we watched that Missouri team play in the SEC championship games those 2 previous years prior to taking over. And then Kendall Briles, we all saw what he did at Baylor and at FAU and at his previous stops. And so that leaves me a better comfortability of being able to say, hey, yeah, it's going to be a tough schedule, but we have coaches that get the SEC, and I think that was the thing with Chad Morris and his staff. Not enough coaches that understood the SEC and how you have to recruit. It's just different in the SEC. We can all tell when Sam was here, we saw what the SEC linemen looked like, and then we saw when Sam left what it's like not to have a coach that gets it. And he went to Georgia, and every place that he's always been able to recruit that type of offensive and defensive lineman, and that's the most important thing that I think Arkansas is going to have to do is really make a difference and a big-time impact in those lines of scrimmage. I call them the ditch diggers and the road graders. Demetrius, how you feel about Nick? And great question, Nick. And, hey, man, don't make this your last call. I'll tell you the
same thing. I got a couple more questions if I can.
Hey, yeah, shoot them off. Shoot them off to us.
Then having like Kendall Briles kind of offense. I was just wondering how you think like Arkansas is going to do like being able to finish games early. Like if we're getting all these big boys in and stuff, and Kendall Briles is this fast-paced go. I'm just worried about how we're going to finish games and be able to finish a season. I'm sure our strength and conditioning coaches are going to handle that all well, but that's just a concern of mine. And my second question is, have you heard anything about how they're going to name a conference champion? Is there going to be a championship game, and will the SEC champion be named the college football champion of the season? I'm going to hang up and just listen now.
And to answer that last question, yeah, the SEC championship game, they are going to stick with the divisions. It has been pushed back to December 19th is when they will play that championship game in Atlanta. And what was the other part of the question? We got to think about that. It was a good question.
He was asking about the offensive line and how it would mesh. But I want to go back and comment on his first part about Arkansas and the strength of scheduling. I was sitting back listening, and as he rambled off the teams, I think when you realistically make goals for Arkansas. I think this is actually the best situation for Arkansas to be in. And the reason I say this is because they're very young, and it's the beginning of the Sam Pittman era. And I think because the schedule was so brutal, these kids are mentally going to have to go into this season a lot more focused and a lot more pressure to be successful with the previous seasons that we have. I feel like with these coaching staff, there's certain expectations that Arkansas has to meet. And I think the coaches expect that. I think in the past we had coaches that kind of didn't necessarily know what success was in the SEC, but I think we actually have coaches that have been to the top of the top when you're talking about going to a college football playoff, going to a national championship game, winning the SEC. To finish my point, I think because Arkansas has such a brutal schedule, I think going forward after this year and then going back to a regular conference where they're playing out-of-conference teams, I think this is the best thing to really realize where Arkansas's potential is and what the kind of snapshot of the recruiting is going to look like going forward for Arkansas.
And I think fans need to realize, are you more upset that you lost the 3 guaranteed wins, which hadn't been guaranteed wins in the last 3 years or so? I mean, let's just be honest. Let's just be honest.
That's real.
Let's be honest. I mean, I feel like, with these 10 games, I would much rather lose 3 non-conference rental wins, in my opinion, than to pick up 2 more conference games. I mean, Arkansas, we knew was going to play 9 tough football games. We knew that. 8 conference and that Notre Dame game. So they were going to play 9 games. It's just adding 1 more SEC game. So what are they having to alter? Just 1 more conference game. I mean, this is what I think college football should be. Interconference, 10 games every year, plus 1. I mean, I think you should have to earn it through your conference and not going out playing when Alabama's playing McNeese State, Arkansas is playing Notre Dame.
And again, I think they need to redistribute the powers of these conferences.
Right.
And I'm not saying necessarily split the SEC up because I do like it, but I feel like some of these other conferences, they're not even 5 teams deep.
Right.
Name me a conference that's 5 teams deep other than the SEC, and I'll wait.
And Nick, we'll get to that other question, the offensive line.
Because the closest one you can maybe say is the Big Ten.
Yeah. ACC, I'd have to say. Maybe.
Okay, now name me 5 from the ACC. I'll wait. Florida State, Clemson. Okay, I got you 2.
Florida State, Clemson,
Virginia, no. They're 50-50.
A lot of up-and-coming programs. I think the ACC is one of those programs that's going to have to come up. So not really. There's not.
But that's my prime example of saying, like, it's great that the SEC is going to beat up on each other, but when you look at having just interconference seasons, it's like, okay, the only one worth anybody really watching is the SEC.
Right.
So that's why I think they kind of need to redistribute how these teams, or I should say how these conferences, whether it's Big Ten switch up or we split how we divide the ACC, SEC, Big 12, something, but I just think it needs to be better balanced.
My answer to the offensive line question and how they run the ball, Kendall has always had 1,000-yard running backs. I mean, you go back to C-Strunk at Baylor, you go back to Singleton, who's running the football for my Buffalo Bills at FAU. He's always been able to incorporate the running backs, and he does it by committee. I mean, I think he's going to find ways to run the football when you have to run the football, because that's the basis for Sam Pittman. I mean, he wants to go out and get the big, agile, burly lineman that in the fourth quarter, when you have to run, can put his hand down and move the pile back. I think that's what you have to do in the SEC. When you can't do that, you can't be a good team. I don't care what school you're at, but I really feel like the emphasis of the weight gain that they've put on those offensive linemen, and if you look throughout that line, I mean, a lot of experience. A lot of kids have played football. It's a young team, but it's an old team, if you kind of understand what me and Demetrius are saying. I mean, because these young kids have had to grow up over the last 2.5 seasons, hence why they were 4-20. You look at all the mature teams that this program has had to play over the last 2 years. And you also have to think about Coach Davis coming from Missouri. They have always had great running backs and great offensive linemen. I think his time at Florida, they didn't have a hard time running the football, and he understands how to recruit an offensive lineman and what that offensive lineman has to look like in the SEC. I mean, it's just top to bottom. It's a great staff that really understands the landscape, what to look for, what they're looking for, and when you talk to these kids, and I know a lot of people have heard our Hall Guys segment. off the phone, I mean, these kids feel like this coaching staff is recruiting with a chip on their shoulder, and when you have that type of passion, I mean, you're going to work, daylight to dawn to turn this thing around. I think Sam Pittman, that's why I felt so good when the job came open. I thought Sam had the personality and had the respect throughout college football to hire the right staff to get this thing turned around more quickly than people might anticipate.
And I just feel, and no disrespect to Nick's question, I just feel the last thing I'm worried about is the offensive line.
Right.
When I have
6.2 yards to carry for that guy.
When I have Sam Pittman and Brad Davis, two of the best offensive line coaches in college football, I'm not worried about my line being in shape because I think these guys know what it takes to move this offense. I think that was why he brought Kendall in, because he seen that or he felt that it would be a good mesh between the coaching styles of his offensive line and the actual scheme.
One thing I know about the staff, Demetrius, it's an all-star staff. When you talk to people around the country, the way they rave about the staff that Coach Pittman has put together, and I'm telling you, here in the next year, if Arkansas comes out and wins 5 or 6 games, they're gonna have to ante up.
And I love that. I love that Georgia game.
Coaches get off because all these coaches on the staff have either been a head coach or aspire to be a head coach.
And to go back to Nick again, I think that Georgia game is exciting because I think you're right. It will affect recruiting, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to benefit Arkansas because Georgia has more to lose than Arkansas.
And
Arkansas just has to go in there and play competitive and show that, hey, this is year 1 of what I can do, and he's in year 5 or 6, and look what and look at the downplay, because you're going to see a drop off between the offensive line. I guarantee you, you're going to see a big difference between Sam Pittman and the new coach.
Say when that offensive line, if Arkansas does play Georgia between the hedges, you go down there and your former head coach, offensive line coaches on the opposite sideline going against you. There's going to be some emotion from all those guys that Sam brought to Athens, Georgia. I mean, you can't tell me that it won't be. Will there be much of a difference? I don't think so, because when it's time to play football, it is. But I think Arkansas, I think they go to Georgia, and I think South Carolina comes to Fayetteville. And I agree with you, Demetrius. It's going to be really beneficial for Arkansas if they were to not come out on top, to stay real close. And I think this football team, with the way Sam understands the Georgia personnel, and that's
the scheme.
And Barry Odom being from Missouri,
that's what I'm
faces
saying.
them every single
You remember
year.
me saying that Arkansas is going to win at least 4 games just off of their coaching staff, just having Barry Odom as a head coach, just having Kendall Browse as an offensive coordinator. I just think 3 great minds. You're gonna get some productivity on the field, and there's going to be some close football games.
Well, we're going to take a real quick break, let you hear more of Hunter Yurichek's Zoom conference, and then we'll come back and wrap this thing up with a bow tie for the week. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a sec.
With mask on, that you're going to see these spikes again, and there's no way to avoid it. Could you address that a little bit? How things would change once you're in an actual August camp type workout?
Well, we're getting ready to find that out. And I think that will give us the runway. That September 26th date will also provide us that runway to figure that piece of it out. We don't know because nobody has practiced football that way. Not in the NFL, not in college football, not in high school football. So we're going to learn a lot over the next couple of weeks as we begin to practice.
Richardson. Hunter, you mentioned you're pretty proud of the students athletes right now for not choosing to socialize, not going to Dixon Street. Do you think that's going to change when a plethora of students end up coming back to campus?
I don't. I think our student athletes understand what is at stake for them. I think they, more than anybody, want their fall sports season to happen. And I think they have seen, as we've had some of student athletes that have tested positive. We've had others that have been contact traced and been in quarantine, and they don't want to experience that. And I think they're really doing a great job. And look, they're having a social life. We've kind of created some social things that we're doing for them. We've created some golf nights for them up at Top Golf. We're having movie nights. over in Bud Walton Arena for them. We've given them maps to all the hiking and biking trails in the area. We're trying to create social opportunities for them to do some other things that they normally wouldn't do, and they're taking advantage of those things, and they're doing them as fellow teammates together. And so it's been really cool to see that evolve and happen over the past several weeks.
You mentioned that Mark Womack is going to be the one making the SEC schedule, and you mentioned that the A games you guys already have are going to stay the same. Did he give you guys a timeline on when the other 2 games are going to be added to the schedule?
We should have a model here in the next week to 10 days of what our schedule will look like. What we know is that the 4 home games, which was Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, those games will be at home, and then we'll go on the road. Again, most likely to Kyle Field for Texas A&M.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's our final segment of the week. This week went by really, really quickly. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have a show on Wednesday due to tech issues, but they came in, got us good. We got the word. I'm still waiting on word from the high school association in the state of Arkansas as to what will take place with their fall sports, that being football and volleyball. Still waiting for the Gov to say something. When he gives us our word, we'll be able to talk more about our upcoming events with Fayetteville High School and all those things. Got a lot of good things going on coming up, Demetrius. I know you're going to be on vacation coming up here in a couple of weeks, so we'll let you know. We will take, since it's, we got to get a weekend before things really get hectic. We don't know when that'll be, but when we get it pinned down, we'll definitely let you know that we'll be out of the studio for 1 week, recharging our batteries. So we can come with Hall Guys, we can come with SEC coverage, we can come with Arkansas coverage, all that stuff. So when we get that week and we get it pinned down, we got to have a little business meeting, decide what day we want to take off, week we want to take off. Is that all good? Well, we're playing football. We know that. 10 conference games. 10. Not 8. 10. I get 10 weeks. 10 weeks, SEC fans, and this is for all SEC fans. 10 weeks, you're going to be able to, if you can, okay, can't tailgate at the stadium where you tailgate. What's the next best place? Where would you go?
I'm going on the mark.
Yeah. On the mark, yeah. Which will be coming aboard here real soon. And we'll be out at on. We got to be quiet. We'll let you know all the details coming up in the coming weeks. A lot's going to be changing for the better here with OTH. I'm pretty sure our listeners are really going to enjoy this. But, hey, we want to thank you for a great week. Not a lot of hard guys because we wanted to get you involved and start flipping over because we're about to get into some football talk with a lot of our reporters. We want to thank you guys for great questions. Our buddy Nick, he finally called in, D. He finally called in.
Yeah, it's good to hear my boy. I haven't talked to him in a while. So
great questions. And, hey, don't be shy. Call this phone. We want to talk to you. Hey, I like to hear your voice. I love your comments, but let us hear your voice sometime so we can put a voice to I guess a tweet or what do we call this on live? Are they tweeting or are they what? We just want to put a voice to whatever we see. All right? But we want to thank you and let everyone know all beats this week and every day on our show are produced by Sauced Up Entertainment LLC. You can check out their YouTube page on Sauced Up Entertainment LLC. Go check them out. Really good stuff, really good beats. I'm telling you, they make my show sound good. Also, want to give a shout out to my producer, Demetrius Johnson, for a great week, and also you guys for another outstanding week of viewership and callers. We'll be back on Monday. You guys have a great weekend, and it's been on the hill. It's Friday edition on KDSJ 479. Y'all have a blessed. Oh, hold on. Before we get out of here, we better say a shout out to our sponsors, man. That would be good. Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, they're located below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Corey Beck's Custom Painting and the one we always talk about, KDK's Chicken. They're down at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith, Kathy. Get that love. It's not your mama's, but we say it's the best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there, beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 South Razorback Road. So we got them in. Now we can get out. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.